All right, so we are here live, looks like, with amazing Bill Pipes. Bill, how you doing, brother?
Bro, I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me on the show, man.
Yeah, thank you. And I've known Bill for quite a while, and he's a great coach with Tom Ferry organization. And I love Bill for his knowledge, his energy, and his consistent, modern, up to date, staying up to date on everything. And if you need to know about what the consumers think, how they make the decisions, Bill Pipes is going to be the one to provide those information to you guys. So, Bill, how you've been doing, and tell us what's been happening since in the world of real estate since COVID hit.
Gosh, man. Well, it's hard to believe it's almost 2 years, right? Like
I know, right? Of the 15 days to slow the spread.
Yeah, right. Yeah, fingers crossed, intention strong, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. But it's very interesting. I've been, and you mentioned this, Pavel. I mean, we've known each other for, gosh, how many years? Like,
quite a while. Yeah,
years, something along those lines. We have seen like just how consumers, and we were talking about this before we hopped on here, just how consumers make decisions change dramatically, because of the pandemic. We've moved into a much more virtual world. The consumer actions and activities in terms of how they purchase, whether it's a television or whether it's a $1 million home, has changed along with that, right?
Exactly.
And what I've noticed, brother man, is that there's a ton of agents that have not evolved, right? That they're continuing to use old school tactics and strategies, and all those are great foundational pieces. And we can talk a little bit about that. There's an evolution that's taken place, and now you look at, this is insane. I was doing a whole bunch of research. The very first house on the metaverse just got sold. I'm not sure if you knew that or
not. The metaverse, is that the metaverse that's the old Facebook?
No, so metaverse is like the virtual world, right? That is evolving right now, man. And where, like work will take place, et cetera. Like the next 15 to 20 years are going to be insane, dude, in terms of how we continue to interact. And it's going to change very quickly. So, like there's a need to evolve. There's a need to change. There's a need to transform. So what I've been doing, brother, is I've been knee deep studying the mind of the consumer as much as I possibly can to keep my agents that I coach and in our ecosystem with Tom Ferry ahead of that curve. And I can't wait to share some of that with everyone.
Awesome. Looks like Tristan joined us. Tristan, how you doing, bro?
What's up, guys? How are you?
What's up, Tristan?
I like your new hat.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
You need to hook me up with that.
I do. This is prototype, so I'll send you one once we develop it.
All right. Yeah. So Bill,
what's up, Bill?
What's up, Tristan? Good to see you, man. It's been forever.
Nice to see you, bro.
Yeah, dude.
I love your haircut, man.
Yeah, high and tight. Man.
So, Bill, the mind of the consumer right now is switching from also like evolving from, let's say, in person to more of a virtual, decision making. And so obviously the technology has to be up to par with that, and the agents have to be, obviously on the same level with the technology. They have to be technology friendly, and so what do you see like in the next 5 years? What's going to be happening?
So let me take a step back really quick and just there's something that I've been like banging the gong on over the course of the last six to 8 months, and that's 2022 is not going to be 2021. I think we all need to actually we have to adopt that. I mean, we saw unprecedented upticks in terms of home prices. I mean, my here in Salt Lake City, my house went up 29.6%. Year over year nationally, national numbers, March 2020 to 2021, national number was 16.8 to 16.9% annual appreciation in terms of prices. That doesn't happen normally. We are seeing, and I think everyone needs to pay attention to this as we're talking about all the exciting technological changes that are taking place. We also need to keep our eye on what's happening in the market. In most markets, to quote Bob Dylan, these times are changing. What's happening is inventory. Now it may be a little bit lower right now, but it's historically that way because it's the holidays. But we've seen in a lot of marketplaces, it's a tale of two cities, where if a property is priced well, right, and it's in good condition, it's still getting multiple offers. But otherwise, they're beginning to sit a little bit longer. Inventory has crept up a little bit. The number of multiple offers, it used to be 75% of all properties that receive multiple offers this year is down in the 50s. So we have to pay attention to the fact that there is a change in the market. And what I've said is this is what I want to lead with everyone is this. We are moving into a skill-based market again, guys. And Tristan and Pavel, you guys have been around long enough to know this, where what you say, how you say it, both in person and digitally matters. Whereas before, we were in a market here for a majority of 2021 and a good portion of 2020 when we came out of the pandemic, where if you showed up, like didn't say anything relatively too stupid, right? And were somewhat professional, you could sell the house. And granted, we were having challenges with buyers and getting them under contract and multiple offers. So it still required selling, but a different type of selling. Now, what I'm saying is this. Everyone needs to adopt this mindset that even with all the technology, this is still a prospecting based marketing enhanced business, that you have to lead with fundamental skills, disciplines, and behaviors and support that with insane marketing, like what Tristan, I've seen you do over the years, right? And people that you have in lab coats and Pavel, what your clients do for Virtudesk.
Yeah.
So we have to start there because there is no substitution for the fundamentals of being a salesperson. There just is a new way of doing it.
Of course, you just like basically the same, same substance, just different method.
Delivery, different delivery.
The delivery is different.
Yeah. And I think that where we need to start is this question is, why would someone choose you over the competition? Right? Because if we want to get into the mind of the consumer, why do we want to get in the mind of the consumer? We want to get in the consumer to have them choose us, right? That's ultimately why we study, why we have scripts and dialogues, why we're putting our stuff on social media, is so that we become an obvious choice for a buyer or a seller to be able to work with us, or an investor, right? And so there's three drivers, guys, and Pavel, you've heard me say this, and Tristan, I think you've heard me say it as well too. There are three primary and fundamental drivers to choice in the mind of a consumer. Number one is trust. Number two, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. Number one is trust. Number two is respect. And number three is rapport, or a feeling of comfortableness, a lack of resistance that someone has when you meet somebody, right? And you just sort of let your guard down. Now, trust is one of the simplest things to be able to do, but it's one of the easiest things to be able to break. And we're in an industry, and I just want to start here. How do we develop trust? Well, we're in an industry where unfortunately the public looks at us a little bit higher than just used car salespeople, according to the USA Today poll. And why is that? Well, it's because a lot of salespeople in real estate make promises and don't deliver. So, what I'll say is, as we're talking about this digital world, let's go fundamentals. Do what you said you're going to do in the time you're going to do it. Right. And if you can't do it, clean it up. Right. That'll establish that trust. So a couple of hacks around this really quick. I wanted to give you guys some sound bites, some scripts, some dialogues before we jump into the digital piece. When you are calling somebody back, you can develop trust by simply saying this, and everyone write this down. I'm calling you back like I said I would. When you say, I'm calling you back like I said I would, they don't remember what you had said a month, 2 months, 3 months ago, but in their mind, language creates reality.
You're delivering on the promise.
You got it. Whether that promise was there or not, right? Yeah. So, hey, I'm calling you. Hey, can I please speak to Pavel? Hey, Pavel, this is Bill Pipes over with Banana Real Estate. Hope you're doing great. Listen, I'm calling you back like I said I would, right? That right there starts to get them thinking, I can trust Pavel. I can trust Tristan. The other piece to being able to maintain and develop that trust is when you're getting off a call or getting out of a meeting or a presentation, use this technique called, this is what's going to happen next. This is what's going to happen next.
So when you lay down the roadmap for them of what's going to be happening.
I'm going to give you a call back in X number of days. I'm going to do this research, et cetera, right? So that you're really bookending every conversation, every meeting in with these two fundamental pieces that actually, establish trust, establish reliability. Okay. So that right there is just fundamental, right? Just do what you said you're going to do anytime you're going to do it. Now, the other piece of respect and of rapport has changed. We were talking about what has changed. What has changed is the way that we deliver and gain respect from a client, how we deliver and gain rapport from them, because we did in the last 2 years have a forced integration where we have to do things more virtually and more digitally. Okay. And so here, really important fact, and I'm not sure if you guys have heard this. This came from my buddy Mark Roberge, who
Mhm.
was one of the founders of HubSpot. Now, he has a wonderful book called Sales Acceleration Formula. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. He is a professor now at Harvard Business School, in addition to his role that he plays at HubSpot. 57% of a consumer's decision is made now before they even meet with a salesperson, before you go out on a presentation, before you even have a conversation when a lead comes in. Over half. Now, that other 43% is still, I've got to do a great presentation. I've got to have my dialogues down. I need to be able to, connect with them. But they're doing their research, Pavel. You know what I mean?
I know. Oh yeah, exactly.
If
Yeah.
someone was going to use your wonderful company, they would do research and see how are they showing up online. What is their Google My Business page look like? So there's a couple of key things that I want you to recognize is, they're going to do a couple of things. I wrote down, there's a 5-step process that consumers go through right now. Number one, they have a need recognition, Pavel. They recognize they need something. I need a new house. I need a bigger house. I need more space. Number two, they do information search, right? They start searching the internet, right? Online to be able to determine, what is the best product that's out there. In this case, real estate agents, we don't sell houses, we sell ourselves, right? Okay. Number three, they do what's called an alternative evaluation. They look at how you compare. We'll use agents, for example. How do I compare with the other agents that are out there? How am I showing up? What is my brand? What is my digital footprint that I ultimately have? Then they make their choice, and then they have a post-purchase evaluation. That's the 5-step process that whether you're buying a house, a car, choosing an agent, a stockbroker, every consumer.
Anybody. Oh yeah, anybody.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if we look at, hey, we want to establish some respect. Well, where does respect come from? Well, respect comes from 2 things, really 3 things. Comes from number 1, the knowledge base you have for the industry and the market that you're engaged in. Okay. So everyone that I coach, I'm always driving them like, know your data, right? Dig into, if you're not part of Keeping Current Matters or some of these other incredible sources to be able to gain, with Brad's company, with Inman or with Housing Wire, you need to be studying the larger global market for real estate and the hyper local market of your own MLS data. So that when someone says, how's the market? You can go, wow, I'm so excited you brought that up. Actually, what most agents say is it's pretty good, right? It's really strong.
Yeah. What else are they going to say, right?
Or if they have their numbers, they can say, well, it's really interesting because over the course of the last 6 months, what we've actually seen is inventory has increased by 11%. It's not that large of an increase, but it's still increasing. The number of multiple offers has decreased from 74% down to 51%. When I can actually use that data to be able to actually answer questions, it establishes respect in the same way that an attorney, a doctor, a lawyer, any other professional, you would expect them to have that. So the first stage of that respect is just your knowledge base that you ultimately have. Now, what I want everyone to recognize is when you have a high level of knowledge, you communicate differently, more powerfully, with more certainty in your voice, which is a major driver of choice, right? Is someone feeling certain with you. Second way you develop respect takes place digitally. This is through, now one of my great buddies that Pavel, you guys should for sure have him on this show, is Tom Toole. I'm not sure if you guys have had Tommy Toole on here yet.
No, not yet, but we will.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now. I mean, he is crushing.
An intro, bro. We'll definitely do.
By the way, I want to pause really quick. Hey guys, for everyone who's listening, today's a pretty amazing day, Pavel, for you guys in the organization. You want to tell them what today is, dude?
Today's our 5th anniversary of Virtudesk. Today we actually officially half a decade old.
It's amazing, man. So I can remember you at Sales Edges and other events, man. So it's exciting to see the evolution that's taken place. Yeah. Then this is, guys, where you can really lean into what I'm about to give you, is lean into the power of Virtudesk and the amazing organization that they are, and the support of the assistants and individuals that they have there. Is the second phase of establishing respect is that you need to be pumping. And I know Jason Pantana was on here a couple of weeks ago, and he talked content. You've got to be pumping so much content out that when someone searches your name, right, that what comes up is, like your YouTube page. I look at everyone. If you don't have the YouTube page right now, you're irrelevant, right? And
exactly.
you're irrelevant, Pavel, if they don't have it.
Oh,
And on that page, something like the fundamentals that everyone I coach in terms of what they need to have on that YouTube page is, number one, 10 buyer tips. Number two, 10 seller tips. Every month doing a market update video that's housed on YouTube and repurposed onto the other social sites, right? Because YouTube is not a social site. YouTube is a search engine, right?
It's a search engine for the video. Exactly. Video content.
You got it.
Yeah.
But, you know, if I search, let's say, Pavel, you know, you're selling real estate and and I search your name, and all of a sudden I see these 10 seller tips and I watch a couple of them. And even if I don't watch them all, I start getting the sense of, wow, this guy really knows his stuff. He's super intelligent. You know, I have respect for his knowledge base. This is someone I want to work with, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right. So utilizing and shooting the videos and then utilizing Virtudesk or some of the support that they have to be able to get that out on a regular basis would be critical. Also making sure that you're actively engaged on social media, guys, right? And that on social media, you're doing at least 5 posts per week, guys. Right? Minimum, 3 of which are personal and 2 of which are business. So when someone searches and they go, right? Bill Pipes, right? Or Tristan Amun, right? Then I look and I see on Google, because you're going to come up, there's Facebook and content on Facebook. There's YouTube, watch a couple of videos. All of that is beginning to sell me and have them respect me in the eyes of the consumer. Does that make total sense, brother?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And, as we all know, we only get like 24 hours in the day. Nobody gets more of that. So that's why you got to have help to get you up there, to get going. I mean, we have an amazing marketing team. We have a hybrid marketing team, both here in house in Seattle and in the Philippines. So we have over 20 people, 20 VAs in the Philippines, helping the marketing team put the content together. So this is just to give you an idea. Like if you Google right now, Virtudesk, you will see what's been going on as far as like we have a YouTube, we have Google, we have TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever. Same thing. Like, if you're selling real estate, you got to be out there, because right now consumers look into your digital footprint, and that's, as you said, that's where respect comes from, because they see that you know your stuff. You know.
100%, man. And you know what? I'm not sure if Pantana talked about this or leaned into this, but here's what I'll say. What makes marketing effective? Yes, you want to have it memorable, etc. But guys, if we're on Facebook, if you guys are communicating, I can't see it. What makes marketing effective? I'd love to see. We got Facebook rolling right now?
We have Facebook rolling. Yeah.
I'd love to hear, but like, I'd love to hear from them. I'm just going to throw a question out to them. What do they think makes marketing effective?
What do you guys think makes marketing effective? Let's ask the question.
First one's consistency.
Okay, we could stop right there, Tristan, right? That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Is the ability ability to be able to be consistent, right? Look, Geico's commercials are amazing, but what makes them so good is that you see them all over the place, right? You can't escape them. I saw one of the most, I still listen to the radio sometimes. I'm like old school, right? And there's this thing called a radio that you can listen to. So that is not digital, music, but I was listening to the radio and there's a Geico commercial, Tristan, that said, "Hey, this is Geico. I know that you may be thinking about changing the station to avoid this commercial, but if you go to another station, chances are you're going to hear one of our commercials on that station as well, too." And I just went, "Gosh, that's brilliant, man." But what makes any marketing really good is consistency. And the challenge that I think we have as agents is that we go in fits and spurts when it comes to our marketing and our branding. And we think, oh gosh, I got to get something out of my past clients and my sphere, and I got to get something on social while I'm selling houses and going on appointments and prospecting and following up on leads, et cetera. So to not have scalability and leverage, i.e. using a great company to be able to actually support you, you'll fall into that trap. Unfortunately, it's not because you're lazy as an agent. It's because there's only 1,440 minutes in a day. And you're busy selling and helping buyers and sellers. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Okay, cool. Let's go to the last little bit here, because I know that we're winding down a little bit on time. So we understand the consumer. We understand the consumer is looking for trust. I gave you some hacks on how to be able to do that. We know that we want to develop respect. We do that through consistent branding and marketing online. Both YouTube, your social channels, also Google My Business. I know Pantana must have talked about that.
Oh yeah, hit it big time. Yeah.
The last little bit, and this is where I would use you guys as well too, is to get reviews. You've got to have as many reviews as you possibly can.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And so, all of that, then a consumer looks at and says, wow, they know their stuff. Other people are talking about, how good they are. Look at this. Their content is out there. It's consistent. I'm seeing a lot of it. It's not just like something from a year or 2 years ago. All right. I can respect this person. Right. And then the last little bit is this, it's rapport. Okay. The third thing that needs to be in place for that consumer to make the choice to get the yes is that they need to feel comfortable with you. Okay. And I could go old school and I could talk to you guys about, talk like they talk, notice their rate of speech, their tonality, their rapport,
but it's kind of different when you do it online, because a lot of people engage you through text messaging.
You got it. That's exactly
right now.
Correct.
So how do you overcome that?
So there is, first of all, and this is something that I've been teaching for about 4 years now, even prior to the pandemic, was you got to start to look at the behavioral profiles that you believe that the lead or the client actually has. And the behavioral profile is, are they a driver, which is someone that's like, I don't care about the pain, just give me the baby. They're low on emotion, but they make decisions quickly. Are they analytical? We can all define what an analytical individual is. Needs charts, graphs, takes more time. Are they more expressive, which is the life of the party, natural salesperson, super excited? Or are they more amiable, right? Which is, where relationships matter. This was really difficult to do. You want to talk about technology and artificial intelligence and how amazing it has become. There is a company out there called Crystal Knows, CrystalKnows. And Crystal Knows, right, will go in if you have a lead. Check this out, guys. Go in if you got a lead, and it will tell you what the personality and behavioral profile is of that consumer, right? So now watch this, guys. I'm texting to a driver. Short and sweet text. I'm emailing to a driver, short and sweet. I'm emailing to an analytical data, right? I'm emailing to, I lean into data. I'm emailing into a amiable. It's all about the relationship that we're going to build and how that's important. And I want them to feel communicated with. If I'm emailing to an expressive about how much fun this entire process is going to be, and how all their friends are going to be able to be envious of them for the fact that they sold their house for top dollar. There are different profiles. There's a wonderful book out there that I would recommend everybody get by Larry Wilson, Wilson. The book is called Versatile Selling, Versatil.
Versatile Selling.
Versatile Selling by Larry Wilson. Right. And it breaks down. This was a guy that in the 1970s began his entire process, worked for Bank of America. He is really the founder of this whole personality. Prior to DISC and prior to color code and prior to everything, he was the one that worked with Bank of America and said, let's work with this with your salespeople, with your loan officers. Get that book, because it will tell you, if you're an amiable, here's how you communicate with all the other personality styles. Here's how you recognize and communicate. If you're an analytical, and it takes it through all of them. So it gives you a cheat sheet on how to be able to adjust your behaviors. See, in 2022, you have to become a digital chameleon when you are communicating with people that are potential.
Yeah, exactly. So a question to you, Bill. We are in the age of commission compression, in the age of iBuying. How do regular agents, the traditional agent model, stands out and serves the consumer that's being bombarded so much by, the commission compression models, the flat fees, whatever you call it, iBuying, basically said, hey, here's what it is. We'll just buy your house. No, no marketing, nothing. How do you stand out as the traditional agent?
The value, you are paid in direct proportion to the value that you portray, that you provide for a consumer. Period.
Okay.
Yeah. This is why on a listing presentation, I've always taught, you don't talk commission until after you present your marketing proposal and everything that it is that you're going to do. Okay. What I will say is, like if you're on a presentation, we haven't had to do a lot of conversation about marketing. We haven't had to talk about what we're going to do to sell the home because the market was doing a large portion, Pavel, of the heavy lifting for us at that point.
Yeah.
Like you could price it 10% over and still get multiple offers and sell for another 5 to 10%. Well, we're moving into a different world. Remember, it's a skill-based market for 2022. It's a skill-based market. Not just the skill digitally, but the skill traditionally in terms of how you present. The way that you compete, look, the iBuyers, the discount brokers, believe it or not, I've been through 4 iterations of ups and downs in the market. When the market is super strong, you see the commission cutting companies come out of the woodwork and absolutely, thrive to a certain degree because they can. However,
of course.
However, the minute that the market begins to shift and change, and the great agent who is skill-based, digitally enhanced, marketing enhanced, and on top of that can show their value, they will be able to garner a higher commission structure because of the fact that they're selling the homes for more than the commission cutting companies, right? The discount companies. Does that make sense? So
absolutely, yeah.
Show your value. What are you going to do to sell the house? What is your track record in terms of what you sell list versus sold price? Eventually, as this market shifts, right, those other discount brokers and the discount agents that their only skill that they have is cutting their commission will no longer be able to compete because they won't be in the market, right? And they won't be able to actually have the data that you have to show that, yes, you may charge 5.5 or 6%. But you know what? Whereas the discount companies are selling for 98% of list versus sold price, we're selling for 103. You're still 2% above where you would be if you work with them and you get a better experience. Okay. So
got it. This is a really good one. Yeah. And so how do you see somebody implementing a virtual assistant in their business to help them create the digital footprint and basically engage consumers, engage the leads, and basically help them build a brand? How do you see that happening?
So, prior to you launching Virtudesk, brother, like this is back in 2011, we were user number 27 or 28 for a company called Boomtown, right? Like, and when now Boomtown has thousands and thousands of customers. Tristan, I think you were one of the early implementers on that as well too. And we utilized about 6 different virtual assistants at that time, okay, for multiple different things. So I have personal hands-on experience of this. The way that I would actually, in today's world, utilize the virtual assistants, I'd be utilizing them to be able to assist me with all content and push out of marketing into the world. Right. All that I'd want myself to do is shoot the video, send it to my VA, right? And let them post produce and do editing and everything else that they need to do so that I don't need to get caught up in that, right? I need to know like my lighting and everything else, but I don't need to know what's a good post-production process, et cetera. I'd use them for that, number 1. Okay. Number 2, I'd be using them to get me reviews, right? I'd be using that 100% to get reviews. Okay. Because like the reason I brought up Tommy Toole, and by the way, there's a couple of people that you guys should be following and watching. Tom Toole is one of them, Toole. Look at him on YouTube. Glenda Baker is another person that you should absolutely. Glenda's amazing, Tristan, like big heart. But I mean, this is a woman that crushes it with video, right? So I would be using, I'd watch some of her videos as a way to R&D. I coach a guy by the name of Bill Davis, who I believe is one of your clients, and Bill uses his VAs also use them for some ISAs. It takes a little bit more work with that because they need to understand the marketplace. But what I love about VAs, both here in the States and overseas, especially some in the Philippines, they work their butts off. Here it's really difficult. I'm not sure how many of you guys have actually tried to hire someone here locally, but it's really the job market is really freaking tough right now because there's unfortunately a lot of people have stopped wanting to work, right? And so
it seems like it's happened, and people, I mean, those who run the businesses, they still have businesses to run. It's hard to hire somebody locally, so they outsource.
So,
Yeah.
like I know Bill is using it to collect numbers for his team to be able to actually use for inputting as accountability pieces. He's got the ISAs. So, so I like those are just some of the examples, but I would absolutely utilize them for marketing. If you can, if you're at a point where you have more leads than you can handle, utilize them for the ISA. If you have a team, for sure, set your team up for success by giving them, putts that are closer to the hole, i.e. leads that are more ready to transact now than are 16, 17 months out. The virtual ISA can do that as well too, with appropriate education and scripts. So.
And as far as like training, let's say an ISA, either it's in-house or overseas, how much time would you dedicate to train somebody to the level that you want them to perform? What's an average training time for somebody like that? What do you think?
That's a complex question, but I'll answer it as
It
best
is, I know.
Yeah. And here's why. It depends.
And I promise it's going to be the last question since we're running out of time.
We're good, dude.
Yeah.
I'm totally good. I'll do this all day. Depends upon how many different types of lead sources they're going to be dialing into, meaning how many different dialogues do they need to have? If all they're doing is following up on Zillow Flex leads, that's one simple dialogue. You can get someone up and operational with 2 to 3 hours of training per day for about 6 days, right? And get them what we call script certified, where you give them the objections, you give them the script, you role play with them. So I think a couple hours a day for 5 days, and you'll have that person dialed in, and then they get the real life experience. If they're using multiples of different lead sources,
FISBO.
I'm gonna call expires, I'm gonna call for sell by owners, I'm gonna call this. And that's the other thing that I love about using you guys is this. It's a different personality of an ISA who is calling outbound versus inbound. One's a culture cultivator and a nurturer, and the other one is a hunter. Right. And a lot of times we as agents don't know how to hire for that, right? Different personality. So, so if you have multiple lead sources, it's simply going to take probably 1 good week to get that script down per lead source, but I would not hit them all with like 7 scripts in the first 2 weeks. Get them doing one, get them doing that well, layer on the next one, get them doing that, and then layer on the next one as well too. Okay.
Got it. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Bill. This is really helpful. And, we have people who's basically, at Virtudesk have like 5 years of experience with call centers. And I think we have a couple more questions came up, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Do your ISAs have script, or what do you recommend in setting up as a script? What do you think about setting up a certain script? I mean, how do you train them on the script? I think you pretty much kind of
this is my wheelhouse, man. So
yeah,
just like a great actor or actress, what you want them to do is really read it over 10, 15 times a day, role play it 10, 15 times, right? Record it and listen to it, role play with you to be able to actually hear how they're doing. So it's really an hour to hour and a half of them just drilling. It's not sexy, but you know what else isn't sexy? I played football.
Being poor.
Or soccer, kicking the ball over and over again into the net with no one there 200, 300, 400 times. But
exactly,
that's how you become a Ronaldo, or that's how you become a Messi. You have that natural talent, but you develop the skill through repetition. So you do the same thing with your ISAs or your agents if you have them.
Yeah. Or as I say, hey, it's not sexy to practice for scripts, but it's not sexy to be poor either. So there we go.
Dude, it's not. Dude, my uncle was he was a badass. He was in the military. He was a colonel in the Marine Corps, and he used to say to me, "Hey, Bill, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle." Right?
Exactly.
And so like the more, the more that you put time in practicing the scripts, the dialogues, the objections, whatever, the less opportunity you're going to miss. You're going to put the time in someplace. Either you're going to put the time in screwing up the situations and not getting the deal, or you're going to put the time in practicing. So
exactly. All right. That's on this note. I mean, I'd say, hey, listen, if you haven't, experienced hiring a virtual assistant, come talk to us, guys, and we'll get you to set up. But I hope Bill morning presentation give you some motivation to get it going there and to crush it in the market. Know your stuff, know your audience, know your consumers changing with the times. So don't get stuck in the past, right, Tristan? What do you think?
100%, man. I just texted you,
Yeah.
Bill. So
Okay.
let's not go like 2 years without texting.
No kidding, man. That's bad on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Hey, Tristan, Pavel, mad love for you guys. Amazing respect for what it is that you
Likewise.
guys do and so many different, and what you bring to the community of real estate agents is invaluable and has been for years. So I think Virtudesk is a 5-year iteration of just the continuation of what you guys have always done. So I'm honored. It's a privilege to be on here for all of the agents. Work
Thank you,
your
Bill.
ass off these next 30 days because nobody else is. Okay.
Exactly. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
You have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Yes.